My mother was gravely ill, and before she passed away, her only wish was to see me married. I pleaded with my boyfriend, Gu Shen, for 27 days, and finally, he agreed to register our marriage with me. I waited at the Civil Affairs Bureau until closing time, but he never showed up. That same day, Gu Shen's childhood sweetheart, Cheryl Chen, posted their marriage certificate on social media. Time flies. It's almost 1 month since we got married, just 3 more days. It was then that I realized that on the very first day I pleaded with Gu Shen, he had already registered his marriage with his childhood sweetheart. Just at that moment, I received an apology message from Gu Shen. Du Hua, Cheryl was forced into marriage by her family. I couldn't stand by and watch her marry just anyone, leaping into a pit of fire. Just 3 more days, and we'll divorce. 3 days later, I'll marry you. 3 days later, when Gu Shen appeared formally dressed at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau, he only received one message from me. Gu Shen, let's never meet again. At the morgue, I looked at my mother's face, tears streaming down like rain. My mother raised me alone and never asked anything of me. Yet, even her last wish, I couldn't fulfill. Knowing my mother was critically ill, I begged Gu Shen, my boyfriend of 6 years, to register our marriage with me, just hoping my mother would know I'd have someone to care for me after she was gone. I pleaded with him for 27 days. But Gu Shen always made excuses to avoid it. On the first day, his childhood sweetheart's car broke down, and he rushed to pick her up. On the second day, he helped his childhood sweetheart move, saying he didn't have time. On the 26th day, his childhood sweetheart's stomach issues flared up again, and he rushed to take care of her. If Cheryl Chen hadn't shown off that marriage certificate online today, I would still be in the dark. I had come up with a million reasons to defend Gu Shen, only to realize he was already married. I knelt by my mother's hospital bed until dusk, and that's when Gu Shen called. His voice on the phone was as gentle as ever. It's so late, why aren't you home yet? Where are you? I'll come pick you up. I parted my lips, but no words came out. If it were before, I would surely have pretended to be difficult to be coaxed by him, then happily waited for him to pick me up. But now, I couldn't utter a single spoiled word to him. Gu Shen's voice carried a hint of urgency. Du Hua, where are you? The hospital. Gu Shen froze, as if only then remembering that I had been taking care of my mother all these days. Wait for me, I'll come to the hospital with you. As soon as the call ended, I suppressed my grief, got up, and began to arrange my mother's funeral. But 10 minutes later, he sent another message. Du Hua, I have to meet Cheryl's parents. I'll definitely visit Auntie next time. I wasn't surprised. Because for the past 2 years, the most frequent phrase I heard from him was, definitely next time. Missed our anniversary, definitely make it up next time. Broke a promise to meet my mother with me, definitely visit next time. Delayed registering our marriage, definitely have time tomorrow. He knew I would forgive him, which is why he dared to hurt me without restraint. But this time, there would be no next time. Because my mother wouldn't have another chance. And I wouldn't forgive him again. That evening, I didn't go home but stayed at the hospital all night. Gu Shen messaged me all night, called countless times. I didn't read them, nor did I answer. The next morning, I arrived at the company very early to prepare my resignation letter. Gu Shen was the founder of the company. And I was just an ordinary designer. Since he started from scratch, I had been by his side. Now, my position in the company had become insignificant. Even if I disappeared, Gu Shen wouldn't even notice. As I was printing my resignation letter, Gu Shen suddenly appeared behind me. Under his watchful eyes, I calmly picked up the finished printout. He looked at me, his voice soft. Are you done printing? Gu Shen looked at me, seemingly oblivious to the coldness in my attitude. He cleared his throat slightly. Shen Du Hua, come with me for a moment. As soon as Gu Shen called me, the colleagues around immediately started whispering. Did you guys hear? CEO Gu got married. Really? No wonder Shin Du-hua and the CEO were always so secretive. Turns out she was the other woman. Shin Du-hua always preached about hating mistresses. She's truly a hypocrite. My father once abandoned my mother and me for another woman, making us suffer for half our lives. And now, thanks to Gu Shen, I was being called the other woman. In the office, Gu Shen tried to hug me. I took a step back. CEO Gu, this is the company. Gu Shen frowned. Don't be angry anymore. Tonight, I'll take you to visit Auntie. I shook my head. No need anymore. My mother had passed away, and I didn't want her to see Gu Shen anymore either. If she knew I was being called the other woman because of Gu Shen, she would definitely be angry with me. Gu Shen seemed to sense my unusual demeanor. After a moment of silence, he spoke. Just 2 more days, and I'll divorce Cheryl. Then, we can register our marriage. After saying that, he handed me a gift box. This is ginseng I prepared for Auntie, specifically for health nourishment. I looked at the ginseng, feeling a little stunned. His intentions came too late. My mother no longer needed it. Seeing my silence, a flicker of worry crossed Gu Shen's eyes. He was about to speak when a hurried phone call rang, interrupting his thoughts. Gu Shen took out his phone, glanced at me, hesitated for a few seconds, then still turned and walked away. I knew it was Cheryl Chen calling. My heart no longer felt any ripples. I simply didn't care anymore. After that, I submitted my resignation letter. To my sudden resignation request, Vice President Zhang seemed to have been prepared. Du-hua, I believe CEO Gu will arrange everything smoothly for you. I bit my lip, finding it ridiculous. It seemed that in everyone's eyes, I was just a canary kept by Gu Shen and the company. He had arranged everything for me. No one believed that I was his official girlfriend, and now I was the one who was deeply hurt and decided to leave. As I left the company, I ran into Gu Shen and Cheryl Chen right at the elevator door. Seeing me, Gu Shen's gaze wavered, and he instinctively opened his mouth to explain. Don't misunderstand, I brought Cheryl here too. Before he could finish, Cheryl Chen hooked her arm through his. To tour my husband's company. I didn't speak. This time, Cheryl Chen spoke again. Du-hua, you don't mind, do you? She looked at me with a provocative gaze. I silently stepped out of the elevator, making way for them. Gu Shen looked at me, a clear look of hesitation in his eyes, wanting to say something. But in the end, he was pulled away by Cheryl Chen. That afternoon, at the crematorium, I silently watched my mother turn to ashes. I laid her to rest in the cemetery. It wasn't until dusk. Gu Shen still didn't appear, nor was there a single message. I didn't feel sad. Without his disturbance, my mother would rest more peacefully. I thought, my mother's soul in heaven wouldn't want me to continue being entangled with him. Even less would she want to see me marry him. Our 6 years of feelings, it was time for them to end here. Leaving the cemetery, I silently walked home. It had been a long time since I walked at night. In the past, I held my mother's hand. Later, I hooked my arm with Gu Shen's. From now on, I had to walk alone. I thought I would get used to it. It wasn't until early morning that I arrived home. The living room light was still on. Gu Shen was sitting slumped on the sofa, texting. Seeing me enter, the frown on his face relaxed, and he immediately rushed over, trying to grab my hand. Where did you go? You didn't answer your phone, didn't reply to messages. Do you know I almost called the police? I stiffened, pulling my hand away from his. I went to be with my mother. I didn't want anyone to disturb her. Hearing me mention my mother, Gu Shen seemed to suddenly recall his words from earlier in the day, a hint of remorse flashing across his face. He suddenly looked at me expectantly, solemnly taking out a small box and handing it to me. I reflexively took it and opened it. Inside was a diamond ring. I was stunned. Before, Gu Shen had held my hand tightly, swearing that he would let me wear a wedding ring, hold a marriage certificate, and let my mother witness my happiness. I had waited so many days, longed for it so many times. But that was before. I closed the box and handed it back to him. Gushin frowned slightly, as if realizing something, and said awkwardly, "It's past 12 now. Just one more day, and I'll divorce Cheryl. Don't worry, I always remember my promises. Tomorrow, I'll personally put the ring on you, and then we'll register our marriage." I was not swayed by his sweet words, just calmly replied, "Okay, got it. I'm a bit tired, going to rest first." The smile on Gushin's face stiffened. For the first time, he noticed my indifference. A flicker of panic crossed his eyes. He tried to grab my hand. Just then, Cheryl Chen, wearing my pajamas, walked out of the bedroom. Her eyes were hazy. As soon as she saw me, she immediately rushed to hook Gushin's arm, whining, "Brother Shin, Duhua is back. Come on, let's wash up and go to sleep." Gushin quickly looked at me, explaining, "Cheryl had a fight with her family. I only let her stay in the living room for one night." After saying that, Gushin stared at me, as if afraid I would misunderstand something. I nodded, calmly replying, "It's okay, I can stay at my mother's place for a night." Gushin froze in place, seemingly not expecting me to agree so decisively. But Cheryl Chen didn't give me a chance to change my mind. She triumphantly turned and ran straight into the room. When I pulled my suitcase, preparing to leave the house, Gushin was still standing in the living room. He pressed his lips together, gripping my hand tightly, refusing to let go, his eyes showing increasingly clear remorse. Finally, urged by Cheryl Chen, he opened his mouth. "Tomorrow, after we register, I'll go with you to visit Auntie." At dawn, I finished packing everything and returned to the company for a final handover. As soon as I entered the company, I received strange looks from my colleagues. After I passed by, whispers and pointing started behind me. It wasn't until I saw Cheryl Chen sitting at my desk that I understood why the atmosphere was so peculiar. Everyone pretended to look at their computer screens, but their eyes constantly darted towards this battlefield. Seeing me approach, Cheryl Chen lifted her chin arrogantly. "I officially start today. I want to sit here. You go somewhere else." I looked at her, calmly nodding. "Okay, I'll pack up my things." We spoke very calmly, but in the eyes of my colleagues, I became the weak one, feeling guilty upon seeing the rightful wife. But because both main characters were present, no one dared to speak clearly. They just clacked on their keyboards, their hearts filled with disdain for me. I had also wanted to clarify everything, but I didn't know how to begin. After all, Cheryl Chen was indeed the legal wife Gushin had registered with. Anything more I said would only bring shame upon myself. As I finished packing my belongings and prepared to leave, Gushin walked over. Seeing me with my suitcase, his expression slightly darkened. "Where are you going?" Before I could answer, Cheryl Chen interjected. "She's giving up her spot for me. I like sitting there." Seeing that I was about to leave, Gushin quickly pulled my hand. "No, this spot is yours. No one else is allowed." Before he could finish, I interrupted. "If she likes it, let her sit there." Anyway, I had already resigned. Who sat there had nothing to do with me anymore. Gushin stood silently in place, his eyes darkened, his expression unreadable. It wasn't until my silhouette, holding the suitcase, completely disappeared that he snapped back to reality. Gushin forcefully pushed Cheryl Chen, who was whistling and tidying the desk, aside, then, in front of everyone, slapped her. "I married you falsely, not for you to walk all over me. What are you misunderstanding? Did you forget? I warned you not to touch Shin Duhua." After leaving the company, I received a message from Gushin. "Tomorrow, in front of the Civil Affairs Bureau, I'll wait for you. The specialist I invited for Auntie will arrive tomorrow. After we finish the procedures, we'll go see Auntie together. I smiled faintly, the smile bitter. "Gushin, goodbye." I took all my luggage and headed straight to the airport. The next day, Gushin held the newly received divorce papers in his hand, waiting in front of the Civil Affairs Bureau. The plane was preparing to land, its destination Nanjing, a coastal city I had never been to but always dreamed of. There was no Gushin here, no Cheryl Chen, and no suffocating rumors. Outside the window, the plane tore through the clouds, descending. Suddenly, I remembered that rainy night 6 years ago, Gushin standing downstairs from my apartment, drenched, looking up and confessing. "Du Hua, be with me, I will definitely give you a happy life." Opening my phone, there were 17 unread messages, the latest one 5 minutes ago. "Du Hua, I'm at the Civil Affairs Bureau entrance, have you arrived yet?" I stared at the screen and suddenly burst into laughter. How ironic. 27 days of pleading, only to eventually get 3 days later, "I'll marry you." And now 3 days had passed, and I no longer had the strength to expose those lies. My fingertips traced the familiar number in my contacts, 6 years of conversations flashing like a fast-forwarded film before my eyes. The rainy night he stood drenched downstairs, confessing. The early days of starting the business, living in a rented room, sharing a packet of instant noodles. The first time we signed a contract, he hugged me, spinning me around in joy. Until everything froze at the image of Cheryl Chen wearing my pajamas, intimately leaning on his arm. I had been imprisoned in the Gushin prison for 6 years, and now, I could finally let go. Perhaps it's true what they say, that letting go and finding liberation in a relationship is sometimes just a fleeting moment. "Madam, the exit is this way." A gentle reminder from a flight attendant brought me back to reality. During the years of starting the business with Gushin, I almost lost everything, my dreams and my self-respect. 6 years of waiting, 27 days of pleading, ultimately were not worth one of Cheryl Chen's moves. I once thought that as long as I loved deeply enough, sacrificed enough, I would definitely have a perfect ending. But what I received time and time again were only lies and heartbreaking wounds. The love I always cherished, in his eyes, was just a joke, a pastime when he was idle. He never truly held me in his heart. I suddenly remembered my mother's frail hands before she passed away, trembling as they clutched my sleeve, her cloudy eyes full of pleading, "Du Hua, let mother, rest assured." My tears fell, drop by drop, onto my phone screen, blurring Gushin's last message. My phone vibrated, Gushin was calling again. I resolutely turned it off, then deleted all contact with him, blocking all communication channels. I personally cut off the self-deceiving obsession of the past 6 years. Once you choose to leave, never hesitate. In front of the Civil Affairs Bureau. At this moment, Gushin clutched the divorce papers tightly in his hand, his phone displaying the last notification, glaring red. He stared at the words "message sent," but rejected by the recipient, his throat constricted, a sweet and metallic taste rising. "Brother Shin." Cheryl Chen, wearing 10-centimeter heels, ran over, her elaborately made-up face showing a twisted smile. "She's gone, isn't she? Are you still hoping that little B*TCH will come back and kneel to beg you?" The glass reflected the man's bloodshot eyes. Just as Cheryl Chen's hand was about to touch his sleeve, he violently threw it off. Gushin's turn sent a gust of wind that blew Cheryl Chen's Chanel silk scarf away. She stumbled, grabbing onto a marble pillar, only to hear his deep, trembling voice. "Have you acted enough? You B*TCH. You, what did you say?" Cheryl Chen's pupils contracted. 27 times. Gushin suddenly laughed aloud, the sharp edge of the divorce papers cutting his palm. "During the 27 days Du Hua begged me, you had stomachaches 12 times, your car broke down 7 times, you were domestically abused 4 times, even your chihuahua got acute enteritis 4 times, Cheryl Chen, do you really think I'm an idiot?" Several couples doing their marriage registration secretly raised their phones to record. Cheryl Chen's face turned pale, her elaborately styled hair sticking to her forehead with cold sweat. "You willingly helped me deal with my family back then. Now you're pretending to be so devoted? When Du Hua was here, what did you ever do for her?" "Shut up." Gushin punched the digital calling screen, cracks spreading like spiderwebs instantly. "You know her mother well." His distorted face appeared faintly on the shattered screen, all the memories he had intentionally forgotten suddenly rushing back. My hunched back by the printer at 3 in the morning, revising designs. My trembling fingertips clutching the test results by the hospital bed. And the smooth rolling sound of suitcase wheels the last time we met. Cheryl Chen was startled by his gaze and took half a step back, but quickly straightened her posture. Why pretend to be heartbroken now? When she begged you to register your marriage, weren't you annoyed with her? What did you say then? Every day she uses her mother's illness to morally bind me. Damn it, I told you to shut up. His furious roar startled the sparrows outside the window, making them fly away in disarray. When the security guards rushed in with their batons, they saw CEO Gu, who was always noble and aloof. Grabbing his ex-wife by the collar, pressing her against the wall, his expensive cashmere coat dragging on the tiled floor, crumpled and messy. I pulled my suitcase and walked out of the airport, the humid sea breeze carrying a salty taste hitting my face directly. I rented an old apartment near the sea. The landlady was a kind, white-haired old woman who smiled gently and handed me a bunch of keys. Little girl, this room has good feng shui. Anyone who moves in here will have a change of luck. I looked up at the stained wallpaper, where a few crooked sunflower stickers still remained, and suddenly remembered my mother, who used to love planting sunflowers on the windowsill. Sunflowers are wonderful, always facing the light. Even if they fall, they'll pick themselves up. Tears unexpectedly welled up. I quickly turned away to wipe my face, but unexpectedly saw the old woman leaning against the door, holding a pot of young sunflower sprouts. The previous tenant left them. She pressed the flower pot into my arms, the wrinkles around her mouth forming a warm smile. I think you and it have a connection. 3 days later, I received an interview invitation from a small design studio. I brought my portfolio and walked into that glass-walled office overlooking the sea. The sea breeze ruffled the design papers. The man behind the desk looked up, his captivating eyes behind gold-rimmed glasses suddenly brightening. This collection, wasn't it displayed at the International Young Designers Exhibition 2 years ago? This collection is called Bird in a Cage, right? Lin Shen's finger pointed directly at the design sketch that Gu Shen had forced me to withdraw from the exhibition. His voice was gentle, like jade soaked in warm water. I was stunned to hear him. That was a piece I had secretly submitted while starting the business with Gu Shen, only for him to say that the company needs to maintain a low profile and forced me to withdraw it. I never expected anyone to remember it now. I drew it. I clutched the hem of my dress tightly. Memories of those nights spent curled up in the storage room drawing drafts rushed back. That time, Gu Shen kicked the door open, spilled coffee on the drawing, and sneered coldly. Clients need commercial designs. What's so valuable about these ragged bird feathers? It's very valuable, it's just a pity that the rest of the design series wasn't seen. Lin Shen suddenly stood up, his slender fingers lightly tracing the struggling bird motif on the drawing paper. To be able to draw freedom even with broken wings, a person like that is inherently fascinating. Lin Shen gently pushed up his gold-rimmed glasses, his captivating eyes behind the lenses curving into crescents. I was the judge back then. I gave you the highest score. Come in tomorrow to officially report. Your salary will be triple what it was before. The condition is, you must complete the rest of the Bird in a Cage series. No problem. CEO Gu, Miss Chen is here again. Assistant Xiaolu stammered from outside the door. Tell her to get out. Gu Shen abruptly slammed his phone to the ground. The screen immediately cracked like a spiderweb, just as Cheryl Chen's high heels clacked closer. Brother Shen, what's wrong? Is Shen Duhua really done with you? She held the latest Hermes bag, leaning against the car, her red lips curving into a mocking smile. Now the whole world knows you dumped your newlywed wife for an old flame. How deeply devoted. Do you even have the nerve to mention her? Gu Shen squeezed her wrist, the force so strong it seemed he wanted to break her bones. If you hadn't pretended to be forced into marriage and begged me for a fake one, Duhua wouldn't have left. Cheryl Chen's face was pale from pain, but she still smiled. Who was it who said, "Cheryl, I'll always be on your side"? Who said, "Wait until I've dealt with the family, then we'll divorce"? Now you're blaming everything on me? She suddenly yanked her hand away, her meticulously styled long hair tangled and stuck to her lips. Gu Shen, for all these years, you've enjoyed my family's resources supporting your company. Now you want to burn your bridges? The glass window reflected the distorted images of the two, like a sarcastic puppet show. Gu Shen looked at the little sister he had called familiarly since childhood, suddenly finding her frighteningly unfamiliar. You planned this from the start, didn't you? Deliberately choosing the time my mother was gravely ill to register your marriage, deliberately posting the wedding photos to provoke her. So what? Cheryl Chen interrupted, tears mixing with mascara, smudging into black streaks. Since I was 12, when you bandaged my scraped knee, I swore I'd make sure your eyes only saw me. What is that Shen Duhua? That penniless girl who ate instant noodles with you in a rented room? Now that the company is big, does she deserve to be the boss? Don't forget, the initial startup capital was tricked out of my father. If it really comes down to it, all your shady books. Slap. Shut up. The second slap was even harder than the one from the day before. Cheryl Chen's diamond earring flew off, creating a dazzling sparkle in the sunlight. Sister Wang from the finance department suddenly stood up. CEO Gu, how much did we transfer to Miss Chen's personal account last quarter? Whispers rose like a tide. I heard Cheryl Chen maxed out the company card buying handbags last month. The day designer Shen resigned, the camera caught Cheryl Chen spilling coffee on her computer. No wonder CEO Gu has been frequenting the legal department lately. Cheryl Chen suddenly grabbed Shen Duhua's photo frame and hurled it into the crowd. Everyone shut up. You hypocrites who turn with the wind. Didn't you all call Shen Duhua a mistress before? Now you're pretending to be righteous? Amidst the sound of shattering glass, Shaoli from the marketing department sneered. Our eyes aren't blind. During last month's team building, someone was seen leaving CEO Gu's room in the middle of the night, only wrapped in a towel. You're lying. Cheryl Chen raised a stapler, intending to throw it, but Gu Shen caught her wrist. He stared at Du Hua's graduation photo in the frame, his Adam's apple moving violently. You dare touch her things? So what? Cheryl Chen struggled free from his hand, her high heel stomping hard on the fallen photo. This cheap photo frame should have been thrown away long ago. Gu Shen, wake up, who knows which man Shen Duhua is sleeping with now? Splash. A whole bucket of dish soap water poured over Cheryl Chen's head. Xiao Zhang from the administration department trembled, holding the empty bucket in her hand. When you messed up Sister Duhua's succulent pot, I already wanted to do that. The sea breeze, carrying moisture and saltiness, crept through the slightly ajar window. I finished the last stroke on my sketch, and as I looked up, I met Lin Shen's eyes. He was leaning against the doorway, holding 2 cups of coffee, his captivating eyes behind his glasses sparkling with a gentle smile. The final wing design for the complete bird in a cage series has 3 more cracks than the initial rough draft. My fingers paused. On the drawing, the bird's wings were broken but still stubbornly reaching upward, just like my mood that night, curled up in the storage room, silently drawing the draft. I reached out and took a cup of coffee, the bitterness spreading on my tongue. The cracks are the price to escape the cage. But it's through the cracks that light can enter. Lin Shen suddenly bent down, his long fingers lightly tracing the edge of the sketch. His sleeve brushed the back of my hand, the unexpected warmth making me instinctively pull back. He chuckled softly, then pushed a stack of photos towards me. The client wants to showcase the bird in a cage collection in next month's Fashion Week. I plan to use real bird feathers for the inlays. Are you afraid of birds? I used to be. I gently stroked the photo of a white egret spreading its wings, suddenly remembering the time Gu Shen threw the sparrow model I kept on the windowsill into the trash. But now, I'm more afraid of being trapped in a cage. Lin Shen's gaze lingered on my fingers for a moment, then he suddenly turned, taking a ribbon-tied box from his drawer. Open it and see. Inside was a feather-shaped brooch, silver quills intertwined with metallic thread, with a sparkling chip of stone embedded in the center, glinting in the light. I gasped. That was the design from the draft that Gu Shen had torn 2 years ago. Now, Lin Shen had made it into a physical object. The day you were forced to withdraw from the exhibition, I picked up this draft. Lin Shen's voice was soft as the sea mist. Now I'm returning it to its owner. I hope you like it. Late at night, only a single desk lamp glowed in the studio. I was biting the end of my pen, editing a design, when I heard a rustling sound behind me. Lin Shen approached, holding a thin blanket, still carrying the chill of the night dew. The temperature difference here is significant. If Chief Designer Shen catches a cold, I won't be able to bear the progress of Bird in a Cage. Only then did I realize I was only wearing a thin shirt, and a warm wool blanket had been draped over my shoulders. Lin Shen naturally pulled up a chair and sat next to me, taking the drawing I had revised countless times. Are you planning to use a gradient blue here to depict the sea? Yes, but I haven't found the right fabric yet. I'll take you somewhere tomorrow. He unexpectedly interrupted, his eyes behind his glasses reflecting the warm desk lamp light. Close your eyes. I don't know why, but I obeyed. In the darkness, my sense of smell became sharper than ever, a faint scent of tangerine mixed with cedarwood wafted. Lin Shen whispered softly in my ear. Hold out your hand. A cool piece of silk fell into my palm. When I opened my eyes, before me was a gradient blue fabric, shimmering with silver flecks under the light, like moonlight on ocean waves. Handwoven in Italy, only 3 pieces left in the world. His finger lightly traced the fabric's edge. Dare to use it for the opening gown of the next fashion week? What if it fails? Don't be afraid. If we fail together. He suddenly gripped my trembling wrist, the warmth from his palm penetrating the fabric, going straight to my heart. Shen Duhua, you should learn to believe that your wings can create a storm. The night before Fashion Week, the lace collar of my dress got caught in my hair backstage. The dressing room door suddenly swung open. Lin Shen stood leaning against the frame, whistling softly. Need a knight to rescue a princess in distress? Mr. Lin's knightly spirit is misplaced. I blushed, about to untangle my hair myself, but he held my wrist. Don't move. From somewhere, he produced a silver pair of scissors, the cold blades brushing against my neck. Don't worry, I used to alter my mother's dress waists. Strands of hair fell as he cut, his breath lightly brushing the back of my neck. The ceiling light in the dressing room suddenly flickered. In the flickering darkness, the almost touching silhouettes of 2 people were reflected in the mirror. Lin Shen's fingers unconsciously twisted a tangled lock of my hair, until the MC's countdown echoed from the stage. It's time to go on stage. He took half a step back, tucked the scissors back into his pocket, and instantly reverted to his usual calm demeanor as Mr. Lin. Remember, tonight all the applause is for the bird that has escaped its cage. As the final curtain call ended, I stood backstage, watching Lin Shen gracefully socialize under the drizzling rain. Dressed immaculately in a suit, he seemed to be wearing a perfect mask. Until the crowd dispersed, he suddenly loosened his tie, rushed into the rain, then turned back and extended his hand towards me. Come on, I'll show you something. The black Maybach sped through the night, stopping by a sea cliff. Lin Shen took an iron cage from the trunk, inside were over a dozen white pigeons fluttering nervously. Now, this is the real ending of Bird in a Cage. He threw open the cage door, moonlight scattering on their white wings, creating a sparkling light. Come, Designer Shen, release them yourself. I trembled, gently stroking their soft feathers. Each beat of their wings numbed my palm. As the last bird flew from the cage, Lin Shen unexpectedly wrapped his arms around me from behind, his drenched suit pressed tightly against my thin dress. It feels like they're flying for you. His warm lips brushed my earlobe, then suddenly moved away. Sorry, I lost control a bit. I held onto his hand as he tried to pull away, turned, and kissed the corner of his lips. The salty sea breeze mingled with the subtle scent of citrus between my teeth. He froze for a moment, then suddenly held the back of my neck, bowing his head for a deep kiss, until the sound of the waves swallowed all our choked emotions. The financial issues in Gushin's company finally unraveled like a rotten, perforated net, all the result of Cheryl Chen's deliberate retaliatory moves. She intentionally mixed the company's books with Gushin's personal accounts, a series of fraudulent transactions tightening around his neck like venomous snakes. In just one night, the entire board of directors turned their backs. The media was filled with reports of the Gushin embezzlement scandal. "You did this, didn't you?" Gushin kicked open Cheryl Chen's office door, his eyes red like a cornered beast. Cheryl Chen calmly painted her nails, the bright red color like congealed blood. "Didn't you suspect me early on? Only coming to question me now?" She threw a stack of photos, blurred images of Gushin entering and leaving a club late at night. "Tell me, if these photos are released, will your image as a devoted lover still hold up?" Gushin clenched his fists, then suddenly let out a cold laugh. "Do you think I don't have copies of your father's smuggling evidence?" The air in the office suddenly thickened. The nail polish bottle in Cheryl Chen's hand fell to the ground, shattering. A week later, Cheryl Chen's father was arrested for smuggling, and all of the Chen family's assets were frozen. Gushin's company also declared bankruptcy amidst the auditing storm. The once glorious building was now sealed, nothing more than a magnificent tomb. "Gushin, we're even now." Cheryl Chen pulled her suitcase, standing before the airport security checkpoint, her makeup smudged like a withered rose. Gushin stared at the scar on her wrist, the one she had once faked as a sign of abuse, and suddenly scoffed. "People like you are too dirty even for hell." Cheryl Chen's pupils constricted. She immediately turned and disappeared into the crowded flow of people. 3 days later, a small Southeast Asian country's television reported on a yacht explosion. Among the wreckage, they found a passport bearing the name Cheryl Chen. The rainy season in Nanjing arrived suddenly, like a torrential downpour. I carried a stack of drawings and rushed into the design studio, just as I saw Lin Shen standing under an umbrella by the door. Chief designer Shen's punctuality still needs some improvement. He smiled, shaking rain off his umbrella. His gold-rimmed glasses fogged slightly, creating a gentle blur. Just then, a hoarse voice cut through the rain. "Du Hua." Gushin stood at the street corner, drenched, his expensive suit crumpled like a rag. In his hand, he clutched a faded velvet box. "I came to fulfill my promise." He tremblingly opened the box, the diamond ring had no sparkle left in the gloomy rain. "You said." CEO Gu's memory is truly poor, I chuckled softly, my finger lightly touching the crack on the brooch. "The promise of that ring, from the 27th time you ran to Cheryl Chen, you personally crushed it. Do you think holding a broken ring will atone for your mistakes?" Lin Shen stepped forward, putting an arm around my shoulder. "You destroyed 6 years of her life, and now you want to shatter her last shred of dignity?" Gushin stumbled back, but still stubbornly held out his hand. "Give me one more chance. I don't need anything, just you. You have nothing left anyway." I calmly cut him off. "Gushin, your remorse isn't even enough to nourish the grass on my mother's grave." Lin Shen suddenly pulled a feather-shaped brooch from his pocket, the cold silver glinting in the rain. "CEO Gu, do you recognize this?" Gushin's pupils constricted, it was the very design from the sketch he had once torn. "You tore paper," Lin Shen pinned the brooch onto my collar. "But she has grown new wings." "Enough." His last shred of dignity crushed, Gushin suddenly laughed like a madman, pointing at Lin Shen and shouting, "Do you think you've won?" At her core, she's still the girl who cooked noodles for me in a rented room. "You're just picking up my discards." Slap. A slap that knocked his face to one side. I swung my hand, my palm tingling, my eyes finally showing ripples of emotion. "This slap is for you insulting my mother's dying wish." I swung another slap. "This slap is for you trampling on my 6 years of genuine affection." As I went for the third slap, Lin Shen caught my trembling wrist. "Don't dirty your hands. Get him out." 2 security guards from behind stepped forward, pinning Gu Shen down and dragging him away. Lin Shen wrapped his arms around me, his fingertips warm and steady. Gu Shen, I turned my head, looking one last time at his huddled, rain-soaked figure. You've rotted away. 3 months later, under the flashlights, The Bird in a Cage, the finale series shook the entire runway. Broken wings transformed into brilliant gold-leafed cloaks, and as the curtain fell, thousands of white pigeons soared into the sky from behind me. Before the screen of a moldy TV in a cheap rented room, Gu Shen sat blankly, surrounded by empty liquor bottles. The television screen showed the moment Lin Shen placed an engagement ring on Shen Duhua's finger. He suddenly slammed the liquor bottle to the ground, glass shards deeply embedding themselves in his bleeding palm. Congratulations. He raised half a bottle of unfinished liquor to the empty air, blood mixing with alcohol dripping onto Cheryl Chen's death certificate. We both deserve this.